Hi everyone, this video is about the reflective analysis video assessment that many of you will have to complete as part of your coursework for various modules at BIM. This video is meant to act in part as an example for all of you relating to what your video should look like and what it should sound like. But obviously the content of this video is very different. I'm going to be focusing on how to set up your computer properly so that you can record the video, and of course, and very importantly, as we are most often interested in audio in music submissions, so that we can hear the audio correctly and at high fidelity, I guess. The second thing that I'm going to discuss in this video is the academic aspects, so relating to referencing requirements. And I'm going to suggest in this video a few ways that you might go about satisfying these research and referencing requirements. Obviously, referencing and quoting sources in a video is going to be different from the way you would normally work when you're doing written submissions. After watching this video, you might still have some questions. If you do, please email me. It's janearneson@bim-institute.de, or you can talk to your tutor directly about that. But please do let us know so that we can either update the content for other students and also obviously help you with your issues. Final thing to note before I get into the detail is that this video is going into quite some detail, so you might not want to watch the whole video from beginning to end, and that's obviously fine. So I'm including timestamps so you can just jump to the specific information that you need to find out. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to start with a discussion of the technical information that we need to check out. First of all, what software do I need? Excuse me. Okay, so the software, using streaming software, there's many different options. To keep it simple, we are recommending that you use a specific software which is called OBS, or Open Broadcaster Software. This works for Mac and PC and Linux, if anyone's using Linux. So go ahead and download this. Links are shown on this document, and just by the way, this document is going to be made available as well, so you can download the PDF to this, and all of these links, etc., will be available for you. Okay, so once you've downloaded your OBS software, the next thing you'll need to have is a driver or an audio thing, let's just keep it simple, that will send the information or pipe the audio from one program to another inside your computer. One that's very famous that most people have used in the past is called Soundflower. I use Soundflower, and actually Soundflower still works for me, no problems. So if you have Soundflower and it works for you, just stick to it. You don't need to use anything else. However, if you come up with some problems and Soundflower isn't working for you, that's because Soundflower is no longer supported by the developer. So the solution that we have is to use iShowU Audio Capture. This is another option that seems to work very easily. So you will need to come to this website and download iShowU Capture as well. Okay, once you have downloaded those and installed these softwares, then we need to open up OBS and get to work on the settings. So let's do that now. I'm just going to drag my OBS into my screen. Right, so first things first, as I said, we need to set up the microphone in OBS. So first thing, plug your microphone into your sound card, make sure that you're getting signal first and that it's working with other programs. That's the first important thing to troubleshoot, because OBS can be a bit confusing, so make sure that you know that the audio signal is working first. Great. Okay, so once we've got the audio coming in, then I'm going to go to Settings, and in the settings go to Audio. Now there's lots of different options for multiple audio input channels. And for inputting the audio, we're going to go to mic or auxiliary audio device, 1 or 2, doesn't matter. I'm using 2 for these reasons. All will be revealed later, but so I have mine set up in number 2. I'm using a Fireface sound card, and just to note, some sound cards are not compatible with OBS, and I found this out the hard way. Mine isn't, for example. So I had to install another software called Loopback in order to trick OBS into recognizing my audio interface. I'm not going to talk about that now, but if people have trouble with it, let me know and I will do another video relating to that. Okay. The next thing that we need to do whilst I'm here, I also will set up my desktop audio device here, and I'm going to set, mine is set to Soundflower because I use it and it works. If you are using iShowU Capture, it's not showing up in here. So what we need to do is actually go to an auxiliary audio device. Let's see if I go to audio device 3, and you can see here that now many more options are coming up. So we can use iShowU Audio Capture there, can select that. Okay, so once I've got that set up, now you should see the audio coming in, as you can see with mine, which is great. Now I have my microphone. Now I need to get the audio from the door, so I need to check that. So I'm going to go across to my door and go into preferences, and I'm going to set this up. Okay, so I've already set mine up. The audio output device is Soundflower. Now if I press play here, you should be hearing it and also seeing it. Cool. Now this is a time to talk about something else, which is pretty important. If you're going to be talking over the audio, you need to be mindful to turn down the audio while you're talking and get the levels, the correct balance. Right, now a few other things to talk about while we're here. If you have come this far, and you're talking into your microphone, you're probably hearing latency, and it's really annoying. So in order to fix that, staying in this area, we're going to go to the settings of this particular channel, and I'm going to click on the settings button and then advanced audio properties, and here I can decide what I want to monitor through the output from OBS and what I want to turn off. So here is this selected here is my microphone that I'm speaking into now, and you can see that I have monitoring off. Now if you make sure that you set it to that, and then you won't hear your voice anymore. So no more latency. As long as you're seeing this, it doesn't matter really if you can hear your voice or not. Some of you though might have software with your sound card. As I said, I'm using an RME, and we can see here that this is my input, and I can change the input level, and I'm monitoring the input before it goes to OBS. So that works for me and I don't have any latency. So those of you who understand that can do that. If this is confusing for you, just ignore it. Just turn off monitoring. As long as you can see the signal, you know you're getting audio, and perhaps do a test record first. Great. Okay. So we've got our audio set up perfectly. Now we move on to the next step, which is setting up the video or the visual capture. Right, over to the left-hand side here, we can see a Scenes tab and a Sources tab. Now let's go first to the sources. You won't have anything in either of these areas. So the first thing we need to do is check out the sources. If I go down to the bottom here and I click plus, all of these different sources appear. Now the only one you really need to worry about is display capture, and what that does, that's just a standard display, and that is going to capture everything that's visible to you in your computer display. That's the standard one. Another more advanced option is window capture, and so the way that works is that you can capture just the window of various programs. Now I've actually set that up because I'm being a bit advanced and whatever, making it look a bit more seamless. Now I can move between these. I'll do this now. So this is my display capture. Now this is my keynote. Then I've got the door. Then I've got web, 2 different web sources, and then I have JPEG that I'm going to look at later. So by setting those, and I've also set these to key triggers, I can move really easily between each of my screens. The other way that I do that would be to just be in the display capture mode and then tab through to my different scenes. It's fine, but it doesn't look quite as nice, I guess. Okay. One other thing to note, let's go into settings again, and then hotkeys. So I was able to tab through all of the different scenes because I set a hotkey, different keys here to move through the different scenes that I've set up, as you can see here. So if you want to do that, go for it. One final thing, you might want to set up an option to mute your microphone when you're not talking. That's also possible to do here. One more thing that you need to check, this is the final thing on the video, is that you need to check where the video is being recorded to so that you can find it after you've done it. So I'll go back into OBS and let's go to this, click on the settings tab, and then we're going to go to output, and then in output we go to recording and look at the recording path, and then we can see where it's being sent to. Or if I want to change it, I can hit browse. Now you can see I can't hit that now because I'm actually recording, so you can't change the recording path mid recording, but for you, you'll be able to see that and change it. Okay, and that's that. Talking about the academic aspects. Academic referencing. So of course, with anything that you submit in university whilst you're in BIM, it's imperative that you reference in an academic professional fashion, of course. You all know that. But how to do it with video submissions is perhaps a little confusing at first. So obviously you need to demonstrate and explain your process with reference to academic sources. That is the same for anything that you're doing with a submission. So how are we going to do it here? So how do you reference? So you might be paraphrasing. You might have a book that you are suggesting is your main, has been your main source for your research. You might also like to pull out a specific quote. So I'm going to give you examples of this, of all of these options. Let's go to, okay, so here I have an e-book for the e-library, and whilst I'm talking about this is perhaps I could be talking about mastering. This is a mastering book, and I can tab over to this book and say that in reference, Owinski talks about mastering and refers to it as a process of fine-tuning level, frequency, and balance, which is something, it's a loose quote that's taken from that page. Okay, that's one easy way. Or perhaps I might like to be more general and just show a picture. So Mixerman's Zen and the Art of Mixing has deeply informed the work and is used as a reference throughout many of the techniques that I'm talking about today in my discussion. And you can always reference and say, this again is a quote from Mixerman, and tab through to that video. Sorry, not video, through to this JPEG. Another option that we might want to do is to have a direct quote. Okay, so in that case, if I'm going to have a direct quote, I can just pull it out. I can write it out just in the same way that you would in written work, but making it slightly more visual. So again, I might be talking about my approach to mastering, and I saw this quote that I thought was really excellent. So Bernie Grundman talks about mastering by saying that it's a way of maximizing music to make it more effective for the listener, as well as maximizing it in a competitive way for the industry. This quote is taken from Owinski, the Mastering Engineer's Handbook. Okay, so this is another way that you might like to quote. So we can, again, we're showing as well as talking, as well as explaining why we're using this reference. That's probably it. Hopefully this is clear enough for you. Just remember, show, play, and talk. So show your DAW setup, additional plugins that you're using, references to any additional sources, of course, like online articles, e-library books, scans of physical books, or even just as I've showed you, a JPEG from the internet that demonstrates a book that you've been reading. Make sure you play audio examples, and if you're playing an audio example, explain why you played it. Don't just play it and then talk about something else. And when you're talking, be specific about, again, what you're talking about and why you're talking about it. Don't give us a ramble from beginning to end. Remember, this is a presentation. It's a piece of work. Like any piece of work, it should have structure to it, and it should have been thought out. So an idea is to make some notes. Some people like to write a full script before they start. The minimum you should probably do is to make some notes about what you're going to say and when. Okay, so that has been the guide, and I hope that it's been helpful for you. Any more questions? Let me know.